One foot in chaos, the other in class.
What's up? What's up? What's up? What's happening? It's your boy AJ Three Ways, and we back. And we back. I said, and we back with another episode of Venom and Varsity, the podcast, man. Yeah, man. We had to take a little week off. You know what I'm saying? We've been dealing with some personal things. Um, so yeah, but we back with another episode, man. So yeah, sorry for missing last week, y'all. Had was going through some things, man. You know, we doing this, we living this journey in real life in real time. So I'll go ahead and share with you. Like I lost one of my friends last week. Actually had a funeral for him. So shout out to my boy Polo, man. Harry Austin Sr., bro. The crazy thing is we just did the merch drop the last episode. We were going through some of the partnerships that, we've built on this platform with this brand. And my boy was one of my partners, man. He was, again, we're going to shout out the brand Venom and Varsity. He came through with me with the official show merchandise, bro. The official show merchandise. So it's crazy how fast things happen, bro. So I just want to make sure before we get into the episode that we take this time to recognize and realize that we got to love on our people while we got them, man. Don't take your friendships for granted. Don't take your family for granted. Don't take your loved ones for granted. So, you know what I'm saying? If you haven't talked to somebody in a minute, this might be a good time to reach out and check in with them. If you didn't forgot to hit reply to your homeboy, your homegirl, make sure you go ahead, go back, hit that reply button, and check in with your folks, man. Because yeah, man, nobody knows when the time or day is gonna come for you, but you know, while we here, while we got the time, just make sure you loving on yours like you're supposed to. So yeah, we're gonna take a quick moment of silence for those who have lost somebody recently, or it don't have to be recently, but we'll take a quick moment of silence to observe those who are no longer here with us. All right, man. So yeah, let's get back into the show, dog. But like I said, we have had a week off. We had some time to sit down and reflect and think about some things. And this week's episode, it ain't gonna be too much fluff. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna get into it, where we at currently, and where we going in the future. So right now, like I think on the last episode, we talked about beginning the Lent season. So we are now 10 days in, 11 days now, into the Lent fasting season, preparing for Easter. And if you don't know, this was a time in the period where Jesus went into the wilderness to fast for 40 days prior to him going to the cross. So this is the time for me to get back in tune, make sure I'm staying aligned. This is my chance to just give up, get back, and observe. Understanding that this is a holy season, and understanding all the things that have happened around this time, especially after we just finished the Old Testament. So understanding why we have the Passover and why there was the Last Supper and the meaning and significance of all that. So I thank God for this spiritual journey that I've been on and currently am on, because it just helps put the reasoning why behind a lot of the things that we do as Christians. So it's been a blessing. It's definitely been a blessing to understand and study and read and become familiar with the Old Testament as we transition into the New Testament. Sorry, y'all. I just took a shower. Just came from outside. Just came from the gym, and I feel a little congested or whatever, but we're gonna make it through. So yeah, in this season of Lent, we're trying to abstain from certain things that take us away from God, or distract us from our purpose. But at the same time, it could be just as simple as not eating for a period of time. So for me, I'm not eating anything but fruits and vegetables prior to 8 o'clock at night. I'm trying not to. You know what I'm saying? But again, of course, this is all about progress, not perfection. So, so we're not eating nothing. We're not partaking in anything that's going to take us away from God. Trying to be intentional about journaling. My lady shared what is it? A Bible plan for Lent, a devotional plan for Lent through the Bible app, and it's been really good. Really, I don't want to say intense, but real intentional because it's challenging. It talks about the whys, why they didn't fast back when Jesus was alive, and things like that. So it was really eye opening, really good perspective. And I'll just say they didn't fast back then with Jesus because they were with Jesus. So during our fast, this is our time to try to draw closer to Jesus, hear his voice, and hear the things we're supposed to be doing. So they didn't have to do that because they were literally walking with Jesus side by side. So, that's a great, crazy perspective to think about, even in itself. So, like I said, I'm grateful for this journey. It's showing me a lot about the faith, why we have the faith, why we are to believe, and it's showing me a lot about myself, about love, about forgiveness, about compassion, about um I would just say mostly about grace. I think that's the biggest thing that I have learned and are learning as I go through this journey. And I think that was the biggest takeaway from, I think, the Old Testament for me. Just hearing from the start to finish how God took the people of Israel, or let's just, God took his chosen people out of Egypt and brought them to Israel. How it built up, how it came down, and how he was getting it back built up again. And I think the biggest consistent theme throughout the Old Testament was grace, because there they too were walking with God out of the wilderness into the promised land, and it got to a point to where he even just stopped talking to them because of how ungrateful and how unfaithful they were to the things he told them to do, the laws that he set with their ancestors. But it was great to see that he never turned his back on them because of the promise he made to Moses and others. So it's an amazing journey, and it's just something that I'm grateful to be able to look back and reflect on as I continue to live my life, and just think of the things that God has forgiven people for, the things He said He was going to do, but His grace and love for His people changed His mind, and that was the biggest thing for me. And just to have that same amount of love and grace for others, because God had it for us. Like, if God can have grace for you and love you through the foolishness people were doing, worshiping other gods, forgetting about his laws, blatantly disregarding his laws, we can have compassion, that same level of compassion and love for each other. Like, yeah, we do some mess up things to each other sometimes, but I don't think nothing compares to the level of disrespect that God experienced from his people during the times of the Old Testament. So yeah, that's the biggest thing for me. So to have grace for others, to be forgiving, and um, just to be, I don't want to say slow to anger, because that is a fruit of the spirit, and that is something I'm working on. But God gets angry. He gets angry, but just to be willing to forgive and willing to forget and willing to allow people to get back on track themselves so that we can be on track. And that's the biggest thing for me coming out of the Old Testament. Going into the New Testament, I feel like there's going to be a lot of, I think, intentionality behind the rest of the Bible. I think the Old Testament definitely set up the precursor to Jesus's life and the new covenant. But the Old Testament, I think, just gave us the history and the background of why the people of Israel thought the way they did, or did the things they did. And I think in the New Testament, like I said, it's going to be more intentional about definitely living for God, being the main message. I think us getting to know God was the Old Testament. Now we have to go figure out how to, and really don't have to figure it out, honestly. The Old Testament laid it out for you. But I just think in the New Testament, there's going to be a lot of call to action, a lot of um, this is the way that you should be moving. And it's intimidating to me because all my life I've grown up and in the church I grew up in, they mainly focused on the New Testament. And I watched The Chosen when I started this Bible journey. And just remembering some of the episodes, I just know how intense it was. And just to see like Jesus walking among people and just to get familiar with like the chosen one, I think is an intimidating journey within itself. But um I'll say I wish I had. Let me just backtrack a little bit. When I was reading the Old Testament, I wanted to watch the House of David because when I was first began reading the Bible, I was watching The Chosen, and it was just kind of confusing as far as the names at during the time in during the Chosen series, which takes place in the New Testament, and while I was reading the Old Testament, so I decided to stop. I was going to just read the Old Testament, then I was going to watch the House of David so I can have some type of reference, visual reference while I'm reading the Old Testament. I never watched the House of David while I was actively reading the Old Testament. But I just finished the series and it was amazing just to see the way that it was shot, to see the people living in, I think just living in the times, like in the Old Testament, watching the people talk about the laws of Moses and the scriptures and see the old scrolls and how they talked about um Samuel and Jacob and Joshua, and which was recent history to them. So I thought that was really very interesting and helped bring a lot of different things together for me full circle. Just to see, I don't know, the Philistines and the Israelites and really how they were almost kind of like the same people just with different beliefs. And um I don't know, just seeing it in real time, I don't know, I don't want to say makes it real, but just helps you understand better, and it hits a little bit harder as you see real people dealing with the things that you just read. So now fast forward, I'm going into the New Testament. Now I'm going to start watching The Chosen again so I can have that reference point as I'm reading and watching to get that I want to say that'll also allow me to have that personal time with Jesus while I'm fasting, but also this is the time we're going into Lent, um where we're celebrating Easter time and the resurrection of Jesus. And I think like I said in the last episode, it's all just hitting at I think a great point, and I know that something's going to come out of this on the other side. I just got to stay locked in and make sure I stay focused and make sure, we get to it. And I'm gonna be sharing my updates with y'all week to week, as we get through this journey. So I'm excited. Get through the New Testament, see the story and life of Jesus, watch it unfold on The Chosen, which is on Prime. If you haven't watched it, I highly encourage you. I'm going to back, so I could just have that reference while I'm reading, and I'm excited, man. I know there's going to be some messages come out of that, and I'm just excited about this whole season overall. It started kind of tough, not gonna lie, emotionally. As a man, I did feel like I shut down for a little bit, but only because I had a lot going on, and I just needed some time to like process my feelings. Like I said, just losing a friend, somebody I've known since he was my frat brother. So um, I met him at my probate, and ever since I came out um, in my fraternity, he's been like a go to for me. We were able to develop a bond. He used to hook me up. I've ordered plenty of shirts from him before, and this was just a recent one. So we repping the brand. for my guy Polo today. So long live Polo the GOAT. But yeah, as a man, bro, I feel like we do got to do a better job of just allowing ourselves to go through those times to kind of feel um and not be numb or just try to work through it or whatever the case is. Like us as men, we got to do the good job of taking care of ourselves. Like we are supposed to be the leaders of a household, whether that's you just in your household or you have a whole family. So we're supposed to lead, we're supposed to provide, and you can't do that if you're not taking care of yourself. So make sure you take care of yourself. Make sure you take the time to do what you need to do for yourself mentally and emotionally so that you can take care of everything else because I don't think like the career, the family, the love life, the financials, I don't think anything is going to go well or produce what you want it to produce if you're not taking care of yourself. And allowing other people to help take care of you too. So not just closing off and you feeling like you got to do everything yourself, but you allowing yourself to feel and if people are trying to be there for you, letting them be there for you. And if you aren't feeling it, you know what I'm saying? Just communicate. I think we just shut down and feel like nobody wants to hear it. Nobody wants to be a part of what we're going through. But people do care. People do want to be a part. People do want to be there for you. So allow them to be there for you. And you'd be surprised just how quickly you could come out on the other side. Like, I was going through my moment. Some people understood, like, okay, I need to give him some time. But then a lot of other people understood, like, he need me around. So my sister pulled up on me. My girl was making sure she was taking care of me. She was giving me the space I needed, but also being there for me as well, and just making sure I'm okay. A lot of my homeboys were checking in on me. And I think I think just there was a point in time where so many people were checking in on me, like it was overwhelming, but in a good way. Just to understand that, dang, people do see me. People do know that, like, I don't know, I'm hurting right now. And to see them check in on me and just to provide simple words of wisdom helped. And it's something I can lean back on and something I can look back on as like some of the words they gave me that I can look through and reference if I go through a tough time again and also an opportunity to know that these people really do care about me. So if I'm going through something, I know they got my back, and if they're going through something, I know I need to be there for them because they were there for me. And it's about community, man. That's the best way I can put it. If you are going through anything, make sure you are locked in with your community. That was a I don't that was a previous episode we talked about as well, just being locked in with your community and showing up and being there for each other. So again, my community showed up for me. I'm grateful for you all. I'm able to add a few more members to my community and I'm grateful for it. So shout out to you all. I love you. I appreciate you. And we're just gonna keep pushing forward and doing what we need to do. But again, um as a man, men and young men, older men, women too. Just make sure you're doing what you need to do to take care of yourself because you can't take care of nobody unless you can't take any you can't take care of anyone else unless you take care of your star player first, and your star player is you. So make sure you do that, man. Make sure you do that. Um, like I said, I've been talking about my big brother Polo since the beginning of the episode, and I'm gonna give y'all a quick story time with my guy. I would say I'm gonna give a couple stories. Nothing too crazy, but I remember my first time meeting him. Of course, it was at my probate. He gave my line some shirts he made for us, and it was dope. After the probate, was that after or was it before? It could have been before or after the probate, but I remember we went back to the house and all my pros were there and we were having stroll practice and they wanted to see us work out. So we was working out, you know what I'm saying, getting it in, and he told me he was talking about me and he was like, that one right there gonna be something different. You know, you can see it in his eyes. It's something in his eyes. He right that one right there, he different. He gonna get him. And I'll never forget that because I was right in front of him, but it's like he wasn't talking to me directly, but he was talking about me. And if you Greek, then you know, like, to get the seal of approval from your prophytes is the biggest thing. Like the people who been in your fraternity in your chapter before you got there, for them to say like, yeah, you next up, yeah, you got it, yeah, you one of them ones, like that was the ultimate confidence boost for me. And just during my whole probate, I was popping it. And during my whole process, I was popping it. So I already knew like my profile is right with me, just because of how I pop my stuff. And ever since I got offline, I've been popping it. So just to get his blessing, knowing who he was in my chapter, knowing how he ran the yard when he was on the yard, knowing how he was that guy as a member of Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated, and being initiated into the Mu Theta chapter of Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated, it was a blessing to get that seal of approval from him. So shout out to you, Polo, man. You don't you poured into your boy, and you allowed me to hit the ground running, just by blessing me with those words. And I'll just go a little bit further. During that same summer, right after I crossed, me and two of my line brothers, LBs, two of my line brothers, we were when we crossed, like we were bent on, especially me, I was heavy on making sure like the younger brothers, like my line, we were fresh line. We wanted to know who our profiles were. Like we want to know who y'all are. We want y'all to know who we are, so we can bridge the gap. And because we're a smaller chapter, and a lot of people when they graduate they move off, but at the end of the day that's no excuse to not build a bond and not be connected with your brothers. So as soon as we got off, we was on a mission. We're gonna build this chapter up, we're gonna bring us together, we're gonna bring us closer and do what we need to do. So our first road trip to see a pro fight was to go see Polo. So yeah, it was, I don't know, random night during the summer, and it was me, my LB Adam, and my LB Brandon. Polo lived in, I think, Columbia at the time, so we took a trip. Uh, we drove about an hour, hour and a half away. So we took a trip to his house. He invited us to his house. He had a little man shed in the back, so he let us come to the shed, where his little setup was. He had his game, you know what I'm saying? It was like a little man cave back there in a little in a storage unit, but it was like dedicated to being a man cave. So he had all his setup, his game, the TV, the lights, like the drinks, like he had it set up, and I was very, very impressed. So I was just feeling it. I was just like a kid geeked up in the candy store. Yeah, we finna be cooling with our big brother. So no, it was a cool little vibe. So we was in there chilling. He giving us some chapter history, telling us some things, telling about some story, giving us some game, talking about how it used to be back in the day, and pretty much just giving us the ins and out of being in the fraternity and how we needed to move as noobs. And I remember he had his cane, and I don't know how the conversation got started, but me, I was a cane master while I was on the yard. So that mean nobody cane work was better than mine. I could twirl, I could cane bop, cane stroll, whatever it was, I had it. And I could do it. And Polo, he had his cane, he took his cane out and he was doing a little one too, did a little twirl action. He had his breads on, so like I don't know, bro. He was just drippy. He was really just cooling in his own area. His son was maybe, I don't know if PJ was even 4 or 5 at this point. So he was a young boy in the house, just cooling. His family in the house. He chilling outside in the back, chopping it up with us with his young boys. We just going over frat stories. He showing us a little cane twirl, showing us a little 1 2 1 2, and I just remember me and my line brothers were just so impressed, bro. Like we were just geeked, just geek. Like this is the hottest dude like in our bond. One of the hottest dudes in our bond. One of the hottest dudes in our chapter. And we really in here cooling with this dude, like just off the strength of us pledging. and becoming a member of this fraternity. So like it was like one of the, I ain't gonna say one of the first signs, because since I got into the bond, there were so many people who reached out to me and just took me under their wing and just showed me real brotherly love. But Polo, like for him to end, he was just like one of the first guys I really got to kick it with on just on some cool stuff. Like it wasn't, we weren't up there for any fraternity thing. We were just up there to vibe, to learn, to catch up, to learn one another, to just build a bond. And that was the biggest thing. And I'll never forget him for that. And after that, I just held on to him like a kid. Like, I don't know, like when a kid meets somebody they admire and they just cling to him, they follow him around like a little kid. That's how I looked at Polo. Like he was a big brother. He was just cool as hell. He couldn't say nothing wrong to me. He would always snap me, taking shots or whatever, just randomly snap me. We every time we get on the phone, we be on the phone for hours. 4 hours, literally talking, just talking. He was doing most of the talking. But just to have, like I said, from day one, he stamped me and said I was one of them ones. And he never folded on me. Like he was always willing to talk to me. Whenever I wanted to order something, he would order it, ship it to me. When I lived in Houston, he would pay the shipping fees. He never hit me over the head for anything. At homecomings, he always pulled up, showed up, had the coolest stuff. He made our fraternity sweatshirts for homecoming almost every year. And his will always be a little bit different from ours, of course. Big Brother Polo, he had to put it on, but at the end of the day, like he was just a cool ass dude. And for me, he was just like he was him. And I just knew when if I picked up the phone, if he couldn't pick up, he would call me back or he'll text me or he'll respond or whatever the case is. And the real true meaning of a brother. So again, this episode is for Big Brother Polo. Love you, bro. You always gonna be missed. We gonna take care of your kids. And at the end of the day, bro, you are, I'm never gonna say word. You are the exemplifier, you are the epitome of a nuke. You are an exemplified what it was to be a brother in this fraternity. And I'll never forget that. And I hope that I can leave an impact just as large or an impact to where someone could feel like they actually have a brother when they come into this bond, just the way you did it for me. So all I want to do is pay it forward for Big Brother Polo, and I appreciate you for everything you did, man. Rest in heaven, King. So yeah, bro, that's the heavy part of the podcast. I ain't gonna do too much. Like I said, we getting back into the vibes. We doing this every week. So there's no funny business. Outside of that, just some personal updates that's going on. Uh, I don't know. There's a lot of stuff going on, bro. I wrote down some things, but first and foremost, I just want to say shout out to my All Star team. Not my All Star team, but the All Star team in Darlington. They won their district tournament this weekend. The past 2 years, I was able to be the coach of that team, and we were the district runner ups. This year, the district tournament was a home tournament, so they got to show out in front of their home team, their home crowd, and really do some things. And it was definitely an experience being on this side, not coaching, just to be there for support. I was able to go early in the week and donate some things to them, and then show up as a spectator, and to show support was just a different feeling for sure. There were about 5 kids on the team this year that I coached last year for the All Star team, and they look good. Not gonna lie, they look good. I can appreciate what the recreation department is doing. I can appreciate the parents for bringing them back. Just not letting it be a one and done thing. Seeing that there is something that your child can do, and pouring into that and bringing them back and allowing them to do it. So their team had a bye in the first round, and they had to play Sumter in the final round. Oddly enough, we had to go to Sumter last year for the tournament, but we didn't play them. But so we had to play Sumter off the rip. Sumter didn't look too good, but when the game started, they looked real good. So it was tough, but our boys looked like they were outmatched. Not gonna lie. At the end of the half, it was 5-4. Their defense was really good. They could move in transition. Our guys just wasn't they weren't playing with their head up. They weren't moving the ball efficiently on a fast break. They just couldn't get the ball up the court. So halftime comes around and the kids go off, they go to the coach, they have their meeting, but they're warming up. Not this time, they're not warming up in front of me. They're warming up on the other end of the court. So I call over two players that I coached last year. They were on my team last year, and I coached them during All Stars. And I just talked to them. I asked them. I was like, call one over one at a time. I called them over. I was like, "What's up, man? How you doing?" Of course, I talked to them like a person, an individual first. How you doing? How you been? It's been a while. It's good to see you. I'm glad you're playing. But don't you remember us playing last year? Do you remember how I felt last year, like losing? I know you don't want to feel that again. We worked our butts off, and I know you worked your butt off this year. Get out there, play aggressive, and lead the team. Like you know what you're doing, just do it. Sent him on his way. Called the other one over, said the same thing. Like, don't you remember playing last year? As hard as you played, as hard as we tried, and to still come up short. Like, you're a leader. Get out there and lead. And once the second half started, it was a totally different team. Like the defensive intensity was tenfold. The willingness and the the fire they had in them to drive the ball down the lane to score was amazing. Like to see them do their thing to tee up after looking nervous and I don't know, I don't want to say shocked, but they looked a little bit nervous to start up. But to see them tee up, they didn't allow the other team to score maybe one or two more points in the rest of the game. So I think the final ended up being like 13-6 or something like that. But I remember just being happy for them. Like there was a point where I felt like, dang, I miss coaching them. Like if I was out there, we could have did this or yada yada yada. But at the end of the day, it's not about me. It's about we and it's about those kids. So if I could talk to them, I don't want to be a distraction, but if I could just talk to them, pour into them real quick and send them on their way, it was a beautiful thing. So I was just glad to be able to get that moment with them and for them to go back there and show how passionate they are as 7 and 8 year olds. Mind you, these are 7 and 8 year olds, maybe even 6 years old. So, coaching is my passion for sure. I hope to be able to one day to get back to that. But at the end of the day, I'm gonna coach you through this process to getting to know Jesus and getting to know God and getting closer and building this journey of faith. So one day, you know what I'm saying? Hopefully we can get back to it, or maybe there's an opportunity for us to be able to serve in a different capacity. So shout out to the Donaldson All Stars. They got their state tournament this weekend, and I hope you do really well. On a sports tip, my son, he is beginning this track season. So shout out to you, kid. He's got to meet today. I won't be able to make it because I work the second shift, but I will see you this weekend. I will say there's nothing like being a sports dad. It's an amazing feeling. It's an amazing opportunity just to see my kid who's grew up from a hand baby to be out there doing this thing on his own, especially as a track athlete. Like there is a team, but at the end of the day, when you're running track, it's you and you. So just to see him focused and locked in and doing this thing and doing something that he actually likes to do is a blessing. So I love being an athlete dad. I hope that he continues to thrive in his sport and maybe even pick up another one as we reach the end of his high school career. So I'm excited. I'm excited. We got the track, like I said, we got the track meet this week. We got a fashion show DJing event next week. We got an engagement in May already lined up, and I'm sure there's a photo shoot over the summer lined up as well, and a photo shoot lined up in April too. So, of course, the brand is doing well. I just pray that God continues to help me find consistency, help me find and build a community to where we don't feel overwhelmed. We'll be able to put out consistent content and draw in others to, the lifestyle and the word of God, to be able to pour into themselves and to be able to build that relationship. But at the end of the day, man, like I said, this is just a journey. We're building this thing up. We almost had a year of even being on YouTube, so shout out to that. Shout out to those who watch. Shout out to my supporters. I appreciate you tapping in weekly, giving me your feedback. And we're going to keep this thing rolling, man. I appreciate you for tapping in on this week's episode. Again, this one is the shout out to the big bro. Men, women, children, make sure you take care of yourself, take care of your mental, make sure you're good emotionally so you can thrive financially, physically, and all the other ways you want to thrive. This is, again, Venom and Varsity, the podcast. Make sure you follow VNV.media on Instagram. Follow Venom and Varsity Show on YouTube. Like, subscribe, comment on this video. Let us know how we could do better. And make sure you listen to the podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcast, man. We're still building. We're still growing. I appreciate you. And let's tap in next week for another episode of VNV, Venom and Varsity, the podcast. I appreciate you. This is AJ Three Ways, the host that does the most. Follow me on all social media at AJ Three Ways. Until next time, I'll catch you on next week's episode. All right.